Is it
All right.
Yuha?
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna go right back into this real quick. We never talked about Yuha. We never talked about Yuha, and we need to talk about Yuha.
He was actually on my list too.
Yeah,
Yeehaw.
we have to talk about
Okay.
Yuha. Like,
What
come
about
on.
Yeehaw?
You can't do this to me. Hijack the rest of the list. I don't give a fuck. But we have to talk about Yuha.
Okay. I can make it real quick, maybe.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeehaw.
I'll
Seth, the
try.
fucking god himself, said that it would take him over an hour to talk about everything about Yuha.
He's ridiculous. So, oh shit. We're the only ones that know about Bleach. I'll try them. Oh, you go ahead and introduce him. Oh,
All right, so Yuha Bach is his name. He is the overlord of Quincy's, right? So he's like the big head honcho of all the Quincy's. But I think he was like, all right, so he's basically like
you know how?
he's the equivalent of God,
yeah,
isn't he?
yeah.
Like, isn't
Hold
he
on a
just
second.
God?
Well, for the non-Bleach people, you know how in Bleach you probably heard there are Soul Reapers, Shinigami. They're like one species in the spirit world. Quincy's are another species, basically.
Yeah, and
And
this guy is
Ichigo's
the
all
head
of them.
honcho of the Quincy, so he's basically like a god, right? Um, I don't really, I'm not really too keen on the whole like lore of Yuha. I just
The lore
know,
is he was one of the original beings to ever exist. Like for the most part, every single Quincy is like part of him, a part of him that just like split off. And basically, when a Quincy dies, and I'm pretty sure it's so broken because I'm pretty sure the way like his powers work are whenever a Quincy dies, and whenever anybody that ever fought him dies, their like essence and their powers return to him. So like all those Soul Reapers, if you watch wasn't beaten, all those Soul Reapers and main characters with the busted abilities that fought him, he gets all their stuff when they're dead. Is then you just extra fucked. So,
Inheritor.
yeah.
put this into perspective. Ichigo, when he was fighting Ichigo at the end of like the arc that he was in at the Thousand Year Blood War, was toying with him the entire time. Never took the fight seriously, and
And
Ichigo
this
had a lot of trouble.
and this is after Ichigo becomes the second strongest character in the series after this guy by
Yeah,
a massive margin.
by like a gap. It's almost like Brawl Meta Knight levels. Like this motherfucker's got the Keyblade in this fucking thing. Like the Keyblade, like
Like
Kai.
he shows up after like over like a triple digit amount of chapters, I think. Everybody's hyped up to see like the final version of his Bankai. He pulls it out, and then the panel immediately afterwards, this guy breaks it. We don't even get to see what it does. It just breaks.
Yeah, it's just so
Um
stupid.
yeah. I'll go over his abilities real quick. Because he has a bunch. One of them, I'll go from like worst to best. The his probably one of his weaker abilities is I don't remember the name, but the way it works is if he knows of your power, one, that power no longer works on him, and two, he claims the power for himself. Basically,
His weakest is.
that's
That's his
what
weakest.
his weakest ability is to neg all your powers. Right? His probably his second best. I'll go over the big three. His probably second best ability is he's he's like the king, right? And his generals are all called the Sternritter. They all have their unique abilities, and he actually does this by the end of the series. He has the ability to basically absorb the abilities of all his generals. So like by the end, he just like absorbs their essence. They cease to exist, and he gets all their powers. Their powers include Grammy, the imagination guy that we mentioned fought Kenpachi, who can literally create anything he wants that he's like able to conceive of or imagine. That he Yoach gets that.
Yeah,
He gets a guy named Uryu's abilities, which is his ability is antithesis, so he can basically reverse anything that happens. So if you somehow by the grace of God bring Yuha to near death, he can just reverse that and make you almost dead
oh,
and
no
auto
way.
heal himself. He gets Jugram's ability, which is the balance, which is misfortune redirection. So if you do damage to him, he can redirect all that misfortune onto you, and then you take all the damage, and he heals himself. He he gets Bambietta's abilities, which is to like turn anything into a like a spontaneous explosion, pretty much. So he can just blow you up whenever he wants.
Yeah, queen.
He gets adds knots abilities, which is fear. So like if you're alive, he just like attacks your nervous system telekinetically and makes you fear him and like just like paralyzes you. What are the other broken ones? He gets a dude named Gerard's abilities, which how does this ability
The
work? again?
completionist?
No, not him. His ability is the miracle, which is basically like he's able to manifest miracles by like giving form to like the feelings and thoughts and desires of people around him. So if anybody at all like believes in him and believes he can win, he's basically invincible. Because like the Gerard guy, he didn't get beaten. He didn't. He the only reason he lost is because you watch absorb him. Basically, I'm not really gonna go into the rest, but he's broken, right? So
What's
just from that alone, the imagination dude, he was able to clone himself, and like the clones had equal power to him. So you watch, it basically has shadow clone jutsu, and all the shadow clones can spam those other abilities like infinitely as much as he wants.
So, how did they beat him?
Aizen?
What?
Aizen.
Aizen.
Aizen. No, okay, we'll get to Aizen in a second. We're not gonna talk about him, but we're gonna use him to hype up you watch even more.
Since
His
when were you under the impression?
Is it you
Yeah,
watch
his
or you?
best-
What
It's
is it? How is-
it's all right. You pronounce it Yuha Bak, right?
what?
Yeah.
There is not a B
Well,
in that name.
no. The name, one of his names is Yuha Bak. You can also call him you watch. I don't fucking know. Bleach is
Why?
weird. He's so broken we don't even know how to say this dude's name.
Call him
So
the
his-
Almighty.
Yeah,
He is the
basically.
Almighty.
So his strongest ability is the Almighty. It does two things, right? One, it allows him to see the future. Basically, it allows him to see not specifically the future, but he can see like every possible outcome of the future. So he can see like any possible timeline that like is going to happen, right? And the second thing that the Almighty does is it allows him to rewrite the future. So basically, anything that he wants to happen, or like any aspect of the future that he wants, he can just like superimpose that onto the present. So basically, when he was fighting Ichigo, he superimposed like a future where Ichigo's Bankai was broken onto the present Ichigo and broke the present Ichigo's Bankai. He like at one point he superimposed a future where Ichigo stepped on one of his landmines or something and caused Ichigo's leg to like fucking explode. And the most broken part about this is they literally beat Yuha. They killed him. Like Ichigo killed him. Ichigo and Aizen killed him.
How?
And then they only to find out that before he died, Yuha saw a future in which he died and rewrote it so that he didn't die. And he literally just undies.
What?
So broken. It's not even fair, bro. What was Kubo thinking?
Well, how did they beat him?
Aizen.
Plot.
I don't
Aizen did this
understand
thing.
the
It's not, no,
Aizen.
Aizen didn't even do anything.
Oh, it wasn't even Aizen.
was-
Oh shit.
It wasn't even Aizen. It was some stupid fucking plot arrow that stopped his powers, which doesn't even work because he did. Yeah, the ending of Bleach was bad. It was stupid.
Like,
So,
yeah,
if you have somebody like this, there is literally no feasible way you could beat him.
Yeah, so that's future
There
Drakash.
was
without,
no
like,
feasible
pulling some
way.
sort of-
He fought someone whose ability was literally to manipulate the like concepts, basically. Like his sword controlled like all of the color black, right? So and you saw his like entire outfit is black. So the concept dude, he like rewrote Yuha's abilities to be that of a black ant, so that he was like no longer he was
Oh,
like
I was gonna bring
only
up
as-
this guy.
yeah, he was like only as strong as a black ant. Except it didn't even work because Yuha activated the first ability that I talked about, where if he knows about your powers, the powers no longer work on him, and the powers are now his. So he basically negged the dude's powers, yoinked his powers, then killed him.
Which that guy is one of, if not the strongest. I think he was a Soul Reaper. Right? Was he?
He's the strongest Soul Reaper in
The
Soul Society.
strongest Soul Reaper.
100%.
When you have a power
Was.
to
He
rewrite
was.
anything, and you just get negged and destroyed,
Yeah,
like
it's ridiculous.
Yuha is basically a solemn judgment on legs.
Yeah.
Like,
Without the
solid-
health
yeah.
cost.
it was just stupid.
It's
how
an
strong he
Omni Negate
was.
on legs, and he has a mustache.
And he has a mustache.
Yeah, so that's Drakaj. Anyway,
Anyway,
Okay,
we're gonna
dude.
stop. We're gonna stop this one so we can do the video game list.
Because yeah, video games.
We talked
No.
about
So Mark
Yuha
can
for
say
10 minutes.
Melee number one.
oh shit, I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry,
that's
go on.
good. That's good. Content.